Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I've ran out of new metal references. Coming up today, we're going to tell you all about Vince McMahon's wacky plans for SummerSlam 2020. And on top of that, I'm going to tell you all about the two matches for the pay-per-view that were announced on last night's Raw.
Plus, a new Raw Women's Champion was crowned on last night's episode of Monday Night Raw 2. And Kairi Sane has said her goodbyes to WWE. This is the news.
Right, let's talk about Wacky SummerSlam. Whatever we're going to call it. Wacky Slam, that'll do. We've got reports here from a bunch of different sources suggesting that Vince McMahon is maybe a little bit fed up of running empty arena pay-per-views. He doesn't want any more pay-per-views in the Performance Center with like a couple of dozen people wearing masks making like a little bit of noise. No! Apparently, Vince wants to switch things up. So, the first story here kind of comes from Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp, who said that WWE is considering an outdoor location for SummerSlam on 23rd of August. Now, SummerSlam was obviously supposed to go down in Boston, TD Gardens. That can't happen now because things are happening and the world's a mess. We have another report here from Mike Johnson of PW Insider, who claims that the promotion has actually held talks about doing SummerSlam on a cruise ship or at the beach. We've also got a report from Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Live, who said that Vince McMahon wants to do something wacky for SummerSlam. Something weird, something a little bit outside of the box. So, kind of go back to the boat and the beach, which I think are the real important things here. It's said by Mike Johnson of PW Insider that this wouldn't just be for a single match, it would be for most or all of the card. And it could conceivably go down at one of these locations. Now, I mean, I am 100% for this idea. I think, you know, we've had our fun in the empty arena, the stadium thing with like 24 NXT people making their noise. We've had like 3 or 4 pay-per-views or whatever like that now. And yeah, we have the breaks with the cinematic matches and stuff, but at the moment, I think it kind of benefits WWE in particular because they are sports entertainment and not wrestling to just be really, really weird. And while, you know, some elements of the weirdness haven't resonated as strongly as others, the swamp fight, for example, was just not that great compared to something.
It was crap. It was crap.
Okay.
You just say what it was. It was crap.
All right. There you go. It was a big bag of wank compared to something like the Boneyard or the Firefly Funhouse match. Now, obviously, there's the AEW thing when it comes to doing a show on a cruise ship, but who cares? Who cares? Wrestling companies do stuff like this all the time, borrow ideas here, there, and everywhere. If you can do it, because it'll be a lot of fun. And you know, if they can get someone to walk overboard without dying, because it's a long way from the top of a cruise ship to the water, and that you shouldn't do that. Maybe there's a little net or something. Do pirate stuff as well. I don't know. Maybe Captain Hook can show up and put Rey Mysterio's eye back in. Something like that. What do you reckon? I've gone off the rails.
I love this idea. It is absolutely bonkers. And it's probably what we need right about now. I'm going to get to my puns in due course. I'll try and do a bit of journalism before that. Look, we've already seen the reception, the buzz around something like UFC's Fight Island, which was, you know, basically just UFC in Abu Dhabi, as far as I can tell. Yes, they were on Yas Island, but it was, you know, just a contained... It wasn't like... People were expecting like an octagon on the beach. That was never going to happen. But, you know, wrestling, we've already seen, can do shows at sea. Hello, Chris Jericho. I'm sure your lawyer is going to be in touch. I think this is exactly the shot in the arm, especially something like SummerSlam could do with. How it would work, I have no idea. But Andy Murray, do you want to know some early predictions I've got?
Please, fire them off.
Wins for Apollo Crews. Randy Orton.
Oh, no.
Braun Strowman. And, of course, John Cena. And, spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, I am predicting a shock return of the Dudley Boys.
Jesus, Fenton. All I want to know is who's going to catch Bobby Fish. That's. Gee, I'm very sorry for that.
I want to know who the main presenter is going to be. After all, we all want to know who the lead anchor is going to be.
Well, I never. Jesus. All right.
Honestly, I'm going to be unbearable for the next 4 weeks if they put SummerSlam on a boat.
Oh, Griffins, man. What a mess.
Hey, at the end of the day, I suppose if they can't put it on at the Performance Centre and for whatever reason they can't get back into Full Sail, then having it on an actual boat will work. It's gone completely off the rails, this, hasn't it?
Yep, it's the best kind of video.
Oh dear, should we bring it crashing back down to reality?
Yeah, let's talk about a crap finish.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw, we had the highly anticipated match between Asuka and Sasha Banks for that sort of up in the air Raw Women's Championship after that bollocks result at the Extreme Horror Show Rules thing.
End of the line.
Whatever it was.
That one.
And it was more of the same last night on Monday Night Raw. Another brilliant match, as you would expect, between Sasha Banks and Asuka. More shenanigans. There was Sasha chucking, I think, one of the tag belts into the ring. Referee distracted them with that. Sasha grabbed another belt. And then as the referee turned around, threw it to Asuka and did the old Eddie Guerrero thing to try and get Asuka disqualified and therefore win the championship. When that didn't work, they just had a mint wrestling match. And then towards the end, as Asuka looked to be getting in control and, well, basically had pretty much Sasha Banks unconscious, it looked like, certainly after the bell rang. Bayley appeared up on the screen. She chased Kairi Sane, or had been chased, I should say, by Kairi Sane backstage. They were brawling. Bayley was just wrecking her against a big metal door or whatever. Asuka was torn. She was in the middle of the match. She was watching her best mate getting the crap beaten out of her. So she legged it backstage. She got counted out. But as per Stephanie McMahon's stipulation, tried to ignore the fact that she said that if any role model gets involved, even though they didn't really get involved, but they got distracted. Sasha Banks is new Raw Women's Champion, and people are not happy, Andy.
Yeah, this stunk. Like, I don't think there's any other way of kind of expressing it than that. I saw a really good take on Twitter this morning that when things like this happen and when great wrestling is kind of sullied by weird booking, it's kind of an easy thing to go, oh, it's Vince Russo, it's this, it's that. It's just like Russo back in the day, but I think there have been so many examples of this over the past few years that we kind of need to stop sitting here going, it's like Russo, and just go, no, it's like WWE, because it's the same damn thing. Not my take, by the way. I can't remember who tweeted it, but it was something I agree with wholeheartedly. The parallels between latter-day WCW and WWE's product today are right there in front of you. The difference is WCW had stars on it, even in the latter days. It's just really unfortunate that performers like Sasha Banks and Asuka, who are two of the best in-ring wrestlers in the world, go out there and they have this really great, hard-hitting, character-filled match, and then the ending is, hey, I'm beating your friend up backstage, come and help her. And then you look like an idiot when you run away from the match because it's the kind of stipulation where the title can change hands on a count out. What the hell? Just a big bag of rubbish that kind of soured my mood coming out of that show, because it was kind of like Extreme Rules, and that there was a lot of good wrestling on the show, just some really crap booking for no reason, to the detriment of everything. And I mean, good for Sasha. Like, she's a great performer. She's deserving of a title reign, a long one, because all of her Raw Women's title reigns have lasted about as long as it takes me to brew a cup of coffee. But this ain't it, Bruce Pritchard. What's going on?
Look, to play devil's advocate, some people are arguing, well, hang on, they're meant to be heel champions. Everything they do should be designed to make you angry and make you despise them.
But it should make you want to tune in to watch them get beaten up, not change the channel, which is what viewers are doing. Sorry.
Last night's Raw was, I just thinking through last night's Raw, it was an absolute, I almost swore then, show.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew McIntyre booked himself in an Extreme Rules match when he didn't need to. I mean, yeah, he won, but then immediately got RKO despite saying, oh, I've got my eye on you, Randy Orton, except for immediately after my match where it was clear you were always going to attack me. Fine. What the hell was Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler versus a bloke who can't take his shirt off all about? Aleister Black came back to save Dominic, but still got a hurty arm. He lost an eye, or very nearly lost an eye. And then Humberto Carrillo was in a match later on. Where was he when Aleister Black was getting attacked?
It blows the mind, the amount of just scatterbrained nonsense that was on this show. And like,
welcome back, Mustafa Ali. Big Heroes return last week. Big win. Taps out this week to Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
What is the bloody point?
And the match, like, you can put Bobby Lashley over Ali in a good way, right? And you can have both performers come out looking all right. But like, this match was like, I don't know, about 90% of Bobby Lashley just beating the crap out of him. Like, Ali got next to nothing. It's just
a guy again, isn't he?
Yeah,
just
man.
Guy.
And it's like, look, a lot of people will sit here and go, well, this makes sense because of this and this and this. Well, you know, look at the viewership, right? They did like 1.56 million last week. Sports are back now, and it's going to get worse. So, you know, we can't just go, oh, this is the way things have always done, and oh, this puts heat on Sasha and Bayley, when every metric suggests that this is crap. It's not a good show right now, and you want it to turn around. You want everything you watch to be great, earnestly, and you want it to do really well. And you want to look at this WWE show and see wrestlers like Sasha and Asuka, and Drew and Dolph had a really good match on this show. I thought the tag team number one contender triple threat was a really good fun spot fest.
Yeah.
You want these people to be placed in creative angles and storylines that are fitting of the efforts they're putting forth in the ring. And it's bollocks! Anyway, have we kind of shot on Raw enough?
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's talk about SummerSlam. So the two SummerSlam matches that were made on last night's show, as expected, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. Randy Orton cut a really good promo at the start of the show, talking about his legacy, everything he'd done, really put himself over as like a massive star, 13-time world champion, youngest champion ever, all that good stuff. Said, Drew McIntyre, I'm coming for you, and all this stuff. He put Drew over a little bit and then said, well, you know, you won't see it coming when I give you the RKO. Drew McIntyre answered later in the evening. He said, well, you will see it coming when I give you the Claymore. Drew then beat Dolph Ziggler, and Randy attacked him after the bell. RKO out of nowhere, posed with the belt, show goes off the air. Good stuff, good developments. See, we're not just all miserable dickheads on the show. And the tag team title match is Andrade and I almost called him Almas. Angel Garza versus the Street Profits. This came together. Fun stuff. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins cutting a pre-match promo, and on the microphone, on the announcer booth, it was a triple threat. Viking Raiders were involved. Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. Sorry, Cedric the Sports Entertainer Alexander and Ricochet were involved as well. Really good match. Fast, explosive, hard-hitting. No one really like dominated for prolonged periods. It was like just a total spot fest. And that's fine, because spot fest can be fun, and this one was. And the heels came out the victory. Garza and Andrade are going to fight them. That'll be a really good match. That's two good matches for SummerSlam so far, and I think Orton versus McIntyre, you know, it's something that we saw coming a long time ago, but it's the right match. So, hey, let's go.
Do you think that we're going to get Bayley versus Sasha at SummerSlam, or do you think that's going to be held off now then?
Feels like a long-term project now, doesn't it? Like a longer-term project.
It's always been a long-term it's been a long-term project since they decided to do it at the start of this year, but
yeah.
I do not have faith in them. You know, they couldn't get Becky Lynch from a Royal Rumble to WrestleMania without buggering up that storyline. They've got, what, 8 months?
Yeah, it's a long time. It's a long time. And history tells us that with, you know, periods like that, WWE don't always do the best of jobs. I think the character dynamic between Sasha and Bayley is certainly strong enough, but it depends on the material. I, for one, don't want to sit here and watch 8 more months of crap finishes that make me want to boo the bookers and not the wrestlers. Put it that way.
And also, if you decide to blow off this feud by having Red versus Blue Survivor Series WWE, I'm done. I'm absolutely done.
Imagine that. Oh, they might do it on like...
The one thing that's going to drive a wedge between them is brand warfare.
They're wearing different colored t-shirts now, so you know it's... What are we doing to ourselves?
Honestly. We should get out just like Kairi Sane has.
Hey.
Segue. Kairi Sane paid tribute to WWE last night following a Monday Night Raw. We mentioned the other week that obviously they were taping Monday Night Raws all together, and that this week's was probably going to be her last appearance on Monday Night Raw. Obviously, she got battered by Bayley backstage, as we mentioned. She tweeted in the immediate aftermath of Monday Night Raw, my time in the NXT and WWE locker rooms was incredible. Everyone was kind, funny, and talented, so every day day was full of happiness. Also, I was saved by the supportive staff behind the scenes. I will forever love and respect all these professionals I had the pleasure of working with. She then followed it up with another tweet with some lovely images of some of her incredible achievements in WWE. I was able to accomplish so much in the last 3 years, but it wasn't because of my ability or my strength. It was because of all of the constant warm support from the fans. I'm so thankful I could meet you all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Kairi Sane, with a little smiley face anchor emoji. She's going to be truly, truly missed, isn't she, Andy? She was such a legend.
Yeah, this is like just a really classy exit statement. Just lovely stuff. You know, it's good to know that she's making a decision that is right for her and is going to make her happier, and is, you know, she hasn't just stuck around because WWE is really big and they're going to pay her loads of money and stuff. She's like, well, you know, I want to go back to Japan and be with my husband and maybe explore other opportunities. So, yeah, she'll definitely be missed. Kairi Sane's excellent. She was great in NXT. You know, the main roster run veered kind of back and forth a little bit, but lots of good stuff from her nonetheless. And I really like the Kabuki Warriors when they were doing their best work. You know, 2020 hasn't been as kind, but I think you have to look at the career as a whole, and when you do that, it's a net positive for me in WWE. A lot of people are really into the Bayley Sasha dynamic at the moment. For me, Asuka and Kairi were always just a little bit more fun than those two. I'm going to miss it greatly, and I hope she wrestles again. Like, from a selfish fan perspective, I tell you right now, if she shows up in Stardom in like 2 months, I will be watching Stardom. But whatever the case, if she retires, if she doesn't want to do wrestling anymore, fair play. It's her decision. Respect it.
That insane elbow is outrageous. Yeah. And also, if her, I know it's her part of her departure, but if her injury on last night's Monday Night Raw brings out an evil side to the Empress, kind of here for it, I have to admit.
Yeah, I'd be up for Killer Asuka again. That'd be lots of fun.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Brad Refresh, who says, I disliked the Dark Order before, but my God, they are just amazing now on Dynamite and just getting so over on BTE, being the Elite, of course. Are they going to get a mega pop in the first show with crowds again? What are your guys' thoughts? I thought I'd ask you that and ask you, Andy, who else do you reckon is going to get a mega pop once shows get back to normal?
I think a mega pop for the Dark Order might be a little bit of a stretch too far, just because they've got a lot of crap to overcome, and it's kind of hard to get a read on how they're doing without having, you know, well, crowds there now, I guess, which kind of nullifies the whole thing. But yeah, they've definitely improved. The stuff on Being the Elite is great. The thing where Brody Lee, the Griff Garrison bit where he threw the papers off Evil Uno's face was just hilarious. Evil Uno's reaction was outstanding. They've done a good job of turning this stable around, but I still think they have a little bit of work to do before we can say that this is like, you know, something that's going to pop crowds and stuff. Who's going to get a great pop when we go back, man? I really think that Hangman Page is going to blow the roof off whatever building he steps into first. Just feels like he's really surging and coming together as a great babyface. In WWE, kind of harder to get a read on it right now, but I think, you know, Daniel Bryan's been away from TV for a few weeks now. If he stays away for the duration of this and he doesn't come back until like a few months from now, absence makes the heart grow fonder and all this, I think he'll get a big time pop wherever he goes.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how fans react to newly pushed stars that have been, you know, switch shows or whatever. One person I'd guarantee a huge pop for is, of course, Roman Reigns when he finally returns. Let's not be dicks about it. When he comes back, he's completely justified in why he's stayed away. Sami Zayn is someone else who they are going to struggle to push as a heel because he's going to be beloved by everyone. Yeah. But we'll wait and see. But in theory, everyone should get a huge pop because we should just be glad that we can actually go back and watch wrestling live again. And huge pop, you know, I sort of invert that for horrendous boos, apart from maybe Baron Corbin, who's just going to get crickets.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, standard.
Second question today comes from Name Cannot Be Blank on Twitter, who says, Hi Adam and Andy, if given a choice to pick one NXT wrestler and one AEW star against each other for their Wednesday night bragging rights, who would you pick? I would love Karrion Kross versus Lance Archer. By God.
Holy beef. I think I would quite like to see the best women's wrestler on NXT versus the best women's wrestler in AEW. So for me, that would be Io Shirai versus Hikaru Shida, my God, forgetting the AEW Women's Champion's name. I think it'd be really interesting to see how Shida does with a wrestler of Shirai's caliber, because I think, with all due respect to the woman in AEW, Shirai's on a different level. She's one of the best wrestlers in the world, regardless of gender for me. And I think it would just be really cool to see how Shida steps up, because usually Shida is the one who is forcing others to step up in AEW because she's really, really, really great. I just want to see her have that all-time banger against another best in the world contender.
Robert Stone versus Brian Cage, please.
What about Robert Stone versus Tony Khan? Why not?
Actually, no, I tell a lie. I want to see my guy from NXT, Cameron Grimes. He needs to be in action against Jon Moxley, and he needs to win the AEW World Championship. There you go. Right, final question. Actually, let us know in the comments who you'd like to see face off. Final question today comes from Eric, Jenny's husband, on Twitter, like that, who says, what's the prospects of WWE pushing Jeff Hardy with his new Willow-esque character into a program with Bray Wyatt if and when he becomes WWE champion? I assume he means Universal Champion there. Magic versus mystical powers, Andy.
Could absolutely see them doing this. I think there's a good chance. The Willow character could well emerge from a swamp somewhere, as we've seen it do in Impact with the final deletion and all that stuff. I think that Jeff would probably make quite a logical title defense for Bray if Bray defeats Braun, and I think he probably will. Jeff's just won his feud with Sheamus, and he'll presumably get someone else to kind of go over, maybe at SummerSlam, maybe before SummerSlam, who knows. But yeah, I think that makes sense. It's a babyface that The Fiend hasn't faced yet. We can do some wacky stuff. Jeff has some crazy ideas. If you've ever heard the music that man's made, you know he has some crazy ideas. And you know, he's a wild, creative dude. We see it with his face paint. We see it with things like Willow. I think, yeah, strong chance.
Parox, why, Jen?
Why, Jen? Why?
Yeah, I think the obvious thing, yeah, put the title on Bray Wyatt, back on the title. Put the title back on Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. Immediately put him into a feud with Jeff Hardy, because you can do all the Firefly's Funhouse bollocks if crowds aren't back, and you could, akin to John Cena, really go through a bit of a journey with Jeff, and you know, it'd be enjoyable little build, and then obviously Bray retains, and then you just eventually, I don't know who you set him up to lose to. We were speculating about Big E the other day.
Yeah, Big E would be cool.
But who knows? We did a whole podcast yesterday on how WWE should push Big E as a single star. You can check that out by searching for WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from. Let's move on to today's, and finally, you may have seen the joke doing the rounds about I had a blank joke, but blank that's related to whatever subject you're covering. WWE on Fox yesterday tweeted, we had a wrestling joke, but it got a smackdown. Today's, and finally, though, has to go to Cesaro, just a man after my own heart. He tweeted in response to this, reminds me of a few years back. I was in catering trying to go back to my table. Dwayne Johnson was in the way, so I turned around, but there was the Hitman. I was stuck, Andy, between a rock and a heart place.
Wow. Thank you very much for that, Cesaro.
Is he the best wrestler in the world right now? He's looked amazing in the last few weeks, and that tweet may put him over the top for me. I love him. Well played, sir.
Good tweet. Excellent job.
Very good. Very, very good. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Oh, me and the Dudley boys talking Monday Night Raw in a bit. That's going to be fun.
Yes, it is.
Yes, let us know your thoughts on Twitter and your Twitter questions, of course, at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hecking Bottom. Don't know.
That it does. You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. I just fired out one of the best tweets I'll ever do. With all the jokes you just heard earlier in the news, but go and like it as well, because that'll make me feel good. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Fishing Roddy Piper.
Yes!